All praise going on is most certainly due to the Most High God of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Israel of the household of faith. And I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before to preach the word of God. Never do I count it as a light thing to do so. I know I'm running extremely late. My apologies to you, brothers and sisters. Today's topic, I'm going to deal with a message that, it goes right along with what I was dealing with yesterday, which was various forms of fornication or sexual morality, and this goes right along with that because oftentimes you see people who we in the world, and then we come into the truth and we made all kind of bad decisions and done things that we shouldn't do, but in particular with other people, and we find ourselves in situations. But clearly the Bible tells you a lot of things, how to live as a guide to living, and it also addresses mate selection. So I want to pick it up right where let's see. Let's go to let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Peace to everybody that's listening. Peace to you. 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. So here Paul says something. He says in verse 1, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me. So he's responding to something like all these epistles for the most part. He said, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So, he was a self-made unit. He said, that's good. He said, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So basically he's saying, listen, to avoid fornication, to avoid illicit sexual behavior, understand you need to be married. Okay? So within the confines of marriage, he said, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body. Okay? But the wife. So in other words, he's saying, listen, basically you there for each other. Then he says, defraud ye not one another, meaning don't withhold sexual intercourse from your mate. He said, except it be with consent for a time, meaning that's something that y'all agreed upon for a time. Okay, not that you would just say, oh, okay, you don't you didn't do what I wanted you to do. You go sleep on the couch. I don't know how men, you hear that a lot with men. I don't know how they go for that. I guess that's that's crazy. But nevertheless, it says, defraud you not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency or your lack of self-control. Because what you can be doing to pushing somebody away in that regard is pushing them into the arms of somebody else, into a situation. Why? Because we are sexual beings. But that intercourse is supposed to be held within the confines of marriage. So he goes on to talk about the unmarried, but then he says in verse 9, but if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. Okay, and that is true. The question is, brothers and sisters, what kind of person do you want to marry? Okay, now let's go to 1 Corinthians. We're still in 1 Corinthians. Oh, we still in, let's see. This is 2 Corinthians, in chapter 6. 2 Corinthians 6, and we want to pick it up at verse 14. 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14. Paul writes, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? So what you don't want to be is unequally yoked with somebody. What does that mean? If you're trying to serve the true and living God, you do not want to be yoked up or in a covenant with somebody who is not. That's going to just cause confusion. And it's going to make your journey hard. And sometimes even if people, they so-called in the truth are dealing with the word of God, but they not really. A lot of times people faking it so they can get married. I've seen that a couple times. Somebody go with somebody to church, and they or to the synagogue, wherever you worship at, and they dealing, some place where they dealing with God's word, and they saying, oh man, yeah, okay, making friends laughing and smiling. As soon as you get married, okay, ready for the Sabbath? I'm sick. You sick? What? Where you get sick? I don't feel like going. Next thing you know, they ain't going. Why? Because that they weren't trying to go. That wasn't their intention. Their intention was to get you and get married. But see, there were signs leading up to that, and you weren't out paying attention. What you want to do, brothers and sisters, is you want to be with a person who, even if you, let's say you lose your mind, you dealing with the word of God and you lose your mind and you go off track, you get off the road, they saying, man, I'm still going. Even if you lose your mind, I'm still serving God. That's the kind of person you want. That's the kind of person you want, brothers and sisters. Somebody who's going to deal with the word of God, no matter what. Okay? So again, he said, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath a light with darkness? Okay, none. So you want to choose the right type of person. Okay. Now let's go to let's see. You want to be with the right type of person. Let's see some examples of this. Let's go to Genesis. This is Genesis. And we want to pick it up. In Genesis, the 29th chapter. Peace to you, brother. Because here we have Jacob, the patriarch Jacob, right? And one thing about a man, see, understand this, the man should be doing the choosing, in the sense of, I'm not saying a woman should go out just chasing the individual. That's a man, that's kind of out of pocket. So what you want to understand, though, if you're going to get married, everybody has their role, and a man should at least show himself worthy. Okay, you should not be married. I've seen that too. People get married because they don't want to be alone. Listen, you could be alone and be content. You might want to be somebody. You might be lonely sometimes, but you could be with somebody, and that could be, again, the worst decision you ever made in your life. Why? Because they're the wrong individual. See, a person, especially when it comes to women, you need to let them, and that's a lot of things that young women don't understand, and some old. If a man is going to be there, he needs to show his worth. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the man had to be a millionaire, but the man, number one, he has to show himself worthy. And we see examples of that. And people, and that's one of the things that the dowry does. Okay. This is Genesis 29 and verse, I'm going to pick it up at verse, I'm going to just pick it up at verse 18. It says, and Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had for her. Now this man was willing to, peace to you, brother. This man was willing to work for 7 years for this woman. Okay? This man, I'm gonna say that again. The man was willing to work 7 years. He didn't have, because he had left in haste. He left his land and he came, his brother. And but he came to his mother's people. And one thing about it, he didn't have anything, but he did have his work ethic. And so he was willing to work for 7 years. And then he ended up working another 7 years for Leah, and then another 7 years. Okay. So approximately 21 years, this man has worked with Laban. And but he was willing to do that. That shows you something about this man. Okay. And actually, the dowry, I know that's not something that we see in Western culture today, and it seems archaic, but one of the things it does, it proves a man's worthiness. See, back then you couldn't just go and just take some man's daughter and then go out and then take her to a movie, and y'all, next thing you know, you're in the back seat of a car at 17. That's not what you was doing back then. Right now, because a lot of times the male is absent in the home or not there or just accepting any and everything. You couldn't just take some man's daughter and do anything with her. So it was protection it showed the man's worthiness. It was protection for the woman. And in addition, it helped to bind the family ties, the two families that were going to come together. And I know that's not something that's looked upon as again in Western society today, but it does show a man's worthiness. It does show a man's worthiness. Let me go to another place. And this is in Joshua. Peace to you, brother. From Germany. Peace to you, Brother Sanders. This is let me see. I might have to look it up. Hold on. This is a book of hold on, might not be in Joshua. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, it's in Joshua. Hold on. 15. I want to pick it up at 15. Joshua, the 15th chapter, and verse 16. Joshua 15 and 16. This reads, and Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath-Shapher and taketh it, to him will I give Achsah my daughter to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Achsah, his daughter, to wife. Now, some people, again, this might seem, you're like, man, this is archaic. How could you do that? But what shows him that shows a character about a man. See, that's what was valued. Today, character and integrity and work ethic is not necessarily valued. Now, a woman might value what a man has in regard to wealth, but that doesn't necessarily say something about his character, because it could be ill-gotten wealth, right? Or he could be a man, he could have wealth and he don't have care for his family, or is not a loving individual, or is selfish. See, character was huge. And when you doing something like this, that shows that you have bravery, that shows that you have character, that shows that you have integrity. Those are the things that you should look at. It's just like a man could be looking at a woman and he could value what she looked like, but again, he ain't looking at her character. What kind of woman is she? She could be fine, as they say, but those kind of women come a dime a dozen. They come a dime a dozen. They really do. But who has character? Who fears God? Who is intelligent? Oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of women, by the time they hit a certain age and they realize, oh, the world has told me that I'm somewhat attractive. So now, instead of developing their character or their intellect as they should, they're more concerned about poking their lips out in the mirror, right? And being concerned with that. Well, not realizing that that's gonna fade. That's gonna fade. Beauty is vain. But so here we see an example of a man showing his worth. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Yeah, beauty is vain. Eventually, you think about it, at one point you're gonna have to have a conversation. You know, at some point, it's gonna be times where you, especially if you're married, you're gonna have trials and tribulations. How is that person going to react to that? Is that person gonna have your back? Or is that person gonna make matters worse? What kind of mother is she? What kind of wife would she be? that helpmate to lead and walk together in Torah. That helpmate to lead and walk together. What's that? Help me out. What do you mean by that? That helpmate to lead. I don't understand. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Help me out. Maybe you could clarify what you mean by that. Peace to you, brother. Tell me what you mean by that, and I'll address it. These words kind of swimming on the screen from I'm about to fall asleep. But it said that helpmate to lead and walk together. Help me out. What you mean, brother, by that? But while we're doing that, waiting on you to do that, we're gonna go to 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter, and again, peace to you, brother Jeff and brother Isaiah and sister Ash. You must have born again. Let's go to 1 Timothy 5, because we'll see some other thing that a man must do that you need to consider. 1 Timothy 5 and verse. Well, first of all, hold your finger here. We're gonna go just to Genesis, just to point something out. Genesis. Peace to you, Sister Ruth. Genesis, oh yeah. Right, yeah, okay, I got you. That's true. That is very true. You got it. He said, find a wife that you can lead in Torah, who also is walking with you in Torah. Yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and I just want to pick it up at verse. I'm just get right to it at verse 24. Because it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So that man he has to be a man. That's the first and foremost. In order to marry somebody, he has to be in order to marry a man, he has to be a man, right? Or should be a man. In other words, one thing a man does is he has, number one, place to take you. If you leaving your father and your mother, the question is where you going? Right? He has to be somewhat established. It don't have to be a mansion. It ain't got to be, you ain't necessarily in the suburbs, but starting out, he has some place for you. Right? And that's another problem. You got to, when you first set it up, when you first start dealing, and call yourself gonna get married, what you need, this is just me personally. You can take it or leave it. You don't need to move in with no woman. I know that sound. What you mean you don't need to move in with no woman? A man need to have his own. Have a woman move in with you. Establish your household and how you want things. You can't come in no woman's house and tell her nothing. You might think you can, but I'm here to tell you that ain't gonna fly too long. Cause soon as you do something, because right there, let me say this right there is showing. Hold on. Why? Because why I gotta listen to you? Why am I let you lead me in this my house? I've been holding it down by myself, and that's the Western world. That's the Western world. That's the situation it is right now. Where women are in a position, unlike what we're reading about, women are in a position. Thank you, brother. Women are in a position to where it's more women in college and universities right now. It's more, I believe, they may outnumber men as far as doctors and lawyers. Is that right? Certainly, black women are striving right now. So now you gonna move in with her? Okay, that right? Right off the top, who in charge? You could take it or leave it. So you move in with her, and you might be giving something on something, but it ain't. No, brother, you need to establish your own house. That's what you need to do, and have that in place. Even if I'm your own place. Even if it's an apartment. I remember. I don't watch that show anymore, but years ago, I think it was was it Martin? He said, man, or something. He said something like, man, if you got you a chair and a hat, you better style it or something. He said, man, if that's all you got, you gotta have your own. Okay? And that means you gotta work for it. You got to work for it. You can't. I wouldn't suggest any man move in with their women. But Isaiah said, man, I grew up fatherless and ended up marrying a pagan wife. And see that, like I'm saying, see, I know for a lot of people, they're like, man, it's I wish I'd have heard this or knew this, rather, you know, what they know now years ago before they got married. Yeah, you need, you know, I would never suggest a man, even you want to be in a position to where your wife don't have to work. That's, man, that I know that really ain't gonna fly for some people. I'm gonna tell you something, working overrated. And it's ironic that you could go on a job as a woman and you got to listen to all these directions, oftentimes from a man or some kind of supervisor, but you don't want to hear that when you get home. Right? Especially if it's your house. Don't let that Negro be don't let that Negro make less money than you, which is a lot of times the case. Or another issue with another episode I watched a long time ago, watching Martin, found out Gina was making more money than him. He was like, oh no. So don't let it be she making more money than you, or that she is you know, or that you don't have a job at all. Man, please. Man, please. Forget about it. First argument. N-word, this is my house. You can leave. You like, dang. You know, because that's it's just an order of things. You want to establish yourself first. So now that makes the point. If you're not in a position, listen, brothers, if you are not in a position to have your own, you're not in a position to have your own woman. I'm going to say that one more time. If you're not in a position to have your own, you're not in a position to have a wife. So you said Ash, Sister Ash said it goes both ways. So many men and women are not acting godly or queen and kingly. They are worldly, controlling, and selfish. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something. They're not acting. What people are missing is their role. See, men don't know they men. They don't even know what that means. They have no clue. I'm talking 30-year-old men, 40. They don't have a clue about what it means to be a man. And women don't have an idea what that means. Why? Because they're not dealing with the word of God. One thing about the word of God, it tells you your position. It tells you what you should do. Now, when it comes to I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to the king and queen, I know we call each other that, but we're not kings and queens. That's not how we're act. That's not even our position. We should just try to be men and women first. I don't know if that's, now you're saying, yes, some men and women are abusive if you live with them and money hungry. I mean, okay, I don't know what that, let me ask you, are you responding to something I said specifically? And the reason I said, let me qualify what I said about kings and queens, though, why you do that, because I'm not sure. So what did I say specifically that you're talking about? Just so I know. And why you type that, hold up, everybody, I want to see what the answer is. I'm going to just say this, but qualify about the kings and queens portion. Kings and queens rule. That's an actual position of rulership. So tell me something that, or while we're waiting, tell me, again, I'll just say, tell me what you were responding to that I said directly. It said, when you said it goes both ways, what goes both ways? What did I say that was because right now specifically I'm dealing with what men need to do. It's, I think it's best for both to have their own. Oh, so no one mistreats the other. Got it. Okay, here's the issue though. Okay. Here's the issue. For one, you think I can see how logically you could say that's your protection. Okay, you're gonna have that. But if you are with a man who is godly, truly, see, you should know his character. He not gonna mistreat you. See, if you're going into a marriage and you don't know if somebody gonna mistreat you, you shouldn't be married. Because there's signs up until that point. People don't just become monsters, they've been monsters the whole time. But not you specifically, sister, but people ignore things. Okay? Now, let me say this as well. If a woman I'm not saying a woman can't work, right? I believe women should be educated. A woman, that's fine. I'm talking about men, what men should do. Okay? They should put things in a position where their woman don't have to work. Now, if she work, in other words, if she work, that's fine. If that's what y'all want to do, she stack her money, that's fine. But if she don't work, it ain't gonna destroy your household. That's what I'm talking about. Because you've established yourself. That's part of being a man. See, you talking and understand you saying because again, is the woman that helped me? That's the question we need to ask. Is the woman that helped me? A lot of men want a woman to go 50-50. They hate the old school love. Listen, I'm not really talking about what a lot of men want. A lot of men want Instagram models. A lot of men want women that are not good for them. A lot of men don't know how to be men because everything in society today is about emasculation. I'm not talking about what men want. I'm talking about specific roles. Like right here, this is 1 Timothy. That's what I'm saying. See, how you going? That's what I'm saying. That's if you establish, okay, you with a woman and like I said, she making more than you. It's her house. She paying all these bills. What you gonna tell her? I'm not saying, and then again, it's not me saying a woman can't work. But then if you had kids, understand, this is what we do in America today. Y'all, everybody got two. You got one job. So a lot of times a man had two jobs, and a woman or she might have two jobs. Y'all come together, put y'all money together, spend more, still in debt, spend more months, more going out, the more coming in, even though both of y'all working. Who taking care of the kids? The kids are not being nurtured by their mother for the most part. You pay for somebody else to raise your kids. That don't make sense to me. That don't make sense to me. Speaking from somebody who that happened to when I was a kid, I was in daycare, illegal daycare with about 40 kids in the house. And I knew then this is not the place to be. There was no nurturing and teaching going on there. So the best teacher of the child initially is their own mother. So, it's okie doke how it's set up now, where the stock is in a degree, and status is given to a degree, right? Well, apparently, so much so that people paying $15,000 for their kid to take the SAT, or somebody else to take the SAT for their kid, or they faking transcripts to get their school, to get their kid. I saw one, it was like $6 million to get into, I think it might have been Harvard. Why would you pay $6 million to get into college? How about just get a kid $6 million and see what they can do with it? That don't make no sense to me. But anyway, you say daycare is expensive. Absolutely it is. So, but to me it's backward. But you could try to, if you with somebody you thinking they're gonna do that to you, maybe you shouldn't be married to them. That's one thing though. Our sisters are being taught. You teach the young ones. when it's taught the young ones, and the sisters have taught their daughters, hey, be about your grind, do this, do that, and they let their boys play video games all day, get D's in school. Man, America finished, man. First Timothy 4 and verse 8. Now the brother asked how he say, what the brother? Brother Demetrius. I hope I'm saying that right. He say, peace. He said, shalom. He said, how do you know when Most High has brought two together, brother? Well, that's a difficult question. So what I will say is just certain things you need to look for. Okay, so when I talk about what brother, because I'm not on what brothers need to look for, I'm talking about what brothers should have. Is really speaking to women right now. So just hold off on that. I guess I'll probably pick this up tomorrow because it's already 11:30. But it's certain things you want to look for, and we'll touch upon those things. But 1 Timothy 5. The first thing you want to do is make sure the sister is dealing with the word of God, not just dealing with it because she, if she look good to you and she go to the Sabbath one day, or she been going 2 weeks, and you're like, oh man, this sister, she love the Lord because you love how she look. Not talking about you, brother. I'm just saying sometimes how we could be, again, ignoring things. Yeah, so she fearing God. Absolutely. 1 Timothy. This is 1 Timothy 5 and 8. 1 Timothy 5 and 8. Because again, we talking about what a man should be. It said, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel, meaning he worse than a non-believer. So what does a man have to do? Hey, the one thing that was put upon man from the beginning, he have to work, brothers and sisters. Yeah, he could be again. He don't have to be a CEO, right? You could be a custodian. You could be driving a truck. But what it is you have to work. You have to provide. Again, and if you're not doing that, you're not really in a position to even have a woman. The sister said, I got married at 18 and will be married for 33 years and 3 months. Man, she counted the months. And what I see now is that women are too, No, she didn't. She said it, I didn't. She said, and what I see now, that's old school. She said, I got married at 18 and will be married for 33 years and 3 months. And what I see is that women are too independent to stay married and men are too dependent to be, oh my goodness, and too dependent to be married. You can shut it down. I mean, that's exactly what the problem is. Because that's all about position, sister. That's exactly what the problem is. How you go? First of all, how you gonna be? You can't be to help me and talking about you independent. Because if you so independent, what can I? No, it's a lot. Again, let's be clear. Let's say this right here. When you saying certain things like the sister just said, or what I'm saying right now, obviously I'm not talking in absolutes. So we don't even have to say not all, right? Or it go both ways. Obviously, we're not talking about each and every single case. So we don't have to do that when we had a conversation. When you make the comment or respond rather to what's said, right? When I say a lot, because what you do see is in general, particularly with our people, that's the truth. That's the truth. Our sisters are being reared to lead. Our men are not being reared to lead. They're being reared to follow women. They're being reared to stay in a state of perpetual boyhood. See, she's been married 33 years. If you go back, I look at the men of my grandfather's time. Those were men. Those were straight up men dealing with all kind of odds and obstacles and still standing. In addition to dealing with Jim Crow, racism and segregation and white supremacy, in addition to dealing, they were still men. Well, some of them weren't men too, right? So I'm saying in general, brothers and sisters, we are not, but we have, what we do is adopt whatever white society gives to us. I know that sounds bad, but it is what it is. And a lot of times it's detrimental to us. It's detrimental to them too. But when we accept it, it's much worse. It's much worse. So yeah, you can't be independent and I'm in charge. And then a man come in and then he go, I still run this. And you got this stuff. You got hidden bank accounts on the side. You got an apartment you paying for. You doing all this stuff just in case, right? Or you got, I'm gonna just divorce him, and that's how women are going into situations, right? But I'm telling you, if you're a woman, first of all, you should be looking for a man who already. Not saying he might not have it all but he should be seeking something. And he should already have a place for you. You say, my brother says, man, I wish that was still the case. It seems like it fell off after early 80s babies, the long marriages like our grandparents. Yeah, my grandparents, they both died, but they were married 66 years. They were married 66 years. But yeah, man, that's man, she hit it on the head with that one. She said, this is what I see. This is what I see. These women too independent and these men dependent. Like I said, they moving in with they lady. They gonna move in and they gonna help with some bills. She looking at you like another child. He said, my parents been married 38 years. That's a long time. Yep. And they have to build a foundation. You got to build a foundation. They want everything fast. They don't even want to start off slow. They want to start off in a 5-bedroom house. But they ain't even making 5-bedroom house money. That don't make sense. Start off where you can. First of all, as a man, you want to, again, have yourself together to a degree to where you can start building on that. But yeah, man. But as a man, you got to take care of your household. So a man should show his worth. He should take care of his household. Let's go to let's see where else we want to go. Yeah, you got to, and that should be shown. You got to show your value, brother. Let's go here. Let's go to give me 1 second. I might be back in 1 Corinthians. Hold on. Second Corinthians. Give me a second. It's 2 Corinthians. that right? Ephesians. Give me a second. Let me find this real quick. I'm going to pick it up just in Ephesians. I just want to show the order of things. And in showing even the order of things, you see how a man should be. Okay? So it says in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Oh, hold on, sis. Hold that thought, okay? I'm gonna get to that in a second. Hold your thought, okay? Hold that. Ephesians, the 5th chapter, and I want to pick it up at verse 22. It say, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord." So first and foremost, if that's what you got to do as a woman, you need to be considered that before you get into a marriage. See, that don't speak to independence and I'm in control. I'm in charge. Feminism and all that. It don't speak to that. The Bible he's saying submission. And see, when you understand the true relationship, you will understand your role. So if your role is to submit, well, let's find out what the man is supposed to do. Okay, so now, sister, you need to take this into consideration. It said, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Now, if a man is supposed to be your head, you better consider what kind of man you marry. Is this somebody, if you're going to go according to how God have it in place, are you going to marry somebody that's like this? You gonna marry somebody that you don't mind being in your head? That's what you want to think. Like you gonna follow them, because that puts you in a vulnerable position. But if this is a man who without a shadow of a doubt is all about serving God, why wouldn't you follow him? You understand? So you need to find out what kind of man that does what? Following God. And how do you know he's following God? Do you know he's following God because he read the Bible? Do you know he following God because he say, sister, I'm following God. I want you to come over for a Bible study. Or do you know it by how he acts? His actions show what he is. His actions, he don't have to speak about it. His actions show what he is. That's how you know. So understand what this marriage is and what you're supposed to be doing. Like he said, listen, he need a help fit for him. If that's what you're going to be, and you got to think about it. Is this woman going to be an asset to you? Not to make her into a commodity in that sense, but literally, is she going to be a benefit? Just like you should be a benefit to her. Is he going to be a benefit? Is she going to be a benefit to you? Or is she going to be a liability? I mean, it's kind of really simple. And then if you keep reading, it says, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands and everything. Let me just shed some light on this, brothers and sisters. We never question believers as we read this book. We always say, man, Israel was out of pocket. Israel didn't do this. Israel didn't do that. They were stiff-necked, hard-headed. We never even consider saying Israel shouldn't be following God. That don't even come into our mind. But if that's the case, we should consider also that the relationship between Christ and his church is likened to the relationship between a man and a woman. You understand? You think about Abraham and his wife called him Lord. Why? Because she knew him. You saw what kind of man he was. Right? And she was in subjection to that. So again, we never consider, but when it comes to, even though these relationships are likened to each other, he says, because he said, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So the woman shouldn't be thinking, I'm not going to submit to him. That's like, if you think about you don't say that when you read about Israel. It's always, man, what Israel doing? Right? And also, it shouldn't be that the man is not loving his wife, right? Because when Israel, listen, you see how merciful God was to Israel? You see the love that he showed to Israel? That's what we missing. We're not playing our position. So if you're going to be with somebody, you better make sure that that's the right person, that you would submit to that person, right? You want to make sure that that's the woman that you want to raise your children, that you want to spend your days, because hey, you looking at the outside. I know how brothers are. We looking at the outside, what she look like. But again, that's pretty common, and it's fleeting by the moment. So the question is this a good woman? So now I'm gonna answer. So that's that as far as men. So real quick, sisters, you want a man that's he's proven himself of high character, can provide, and he's gonna love you like Christ loved the church. That don't notice I didn't say nothing about swag. I didn't say nothing about like how he dressed. You had sister. He need to be 6'2". He need to look like Boris Culture. What? What they got? First of all, okay, and can't figure out why you're by yourself. Man, you better get a clue. What about belief differences? I read earlier, brother Kenny, about being equally yoked. That's one of the first things I read. So you dealing in the word, and she dealing in Scientology, you're gonna have a problem. She come home talking about not new, you gonna have a problem. But the sister, yeah, brother, you don't want to deal with anybody that's dealing in false religion. You don't want to marry nobody like that. And if you I'm gonna be honest, if you new to the word, you might want to just, you ain't got nobody right now, sit down and chillax for a second. Try to find out what you're supposed to be doing. Get yourself together first. And I'm not saying new to the word. I'm just saying, if that be the case, that would be my advice. Just sit back, sit back. And then if you get in a position to where you say you think you might want to be with somebody, sit back some more. Sit back some more and just observe. Because you sit back and you observe people, what they do, that'll tell you a lot too. You be like, oh man, I thought that sister was okay. That sister crazy. Or that brother, no, sorry, Bob. So back to the sister. The sister said, she said, so what's your take on the MGTOW movement? Okay, so the MGTOW movement is a movement of men, and there's not one. Okay, so the acronym means men going their own way. Okay, and there's a lot of there's not one definition of that, but in a general sense, the whole premise of that movement is based on the idea that we are living in a society that is totally biased against men. We're living in a society that they don't see the benefit in marriage. So you have some MGTOW men or individuals that basically saying they're not dealing with women at all. Or that you got some that are saying they're going to deal. Hold on. So in others, you have some that they're gonna deal with women at all, and others they saying they're just dealing with women for sexual pleasure, and then they're not gonna get married, and they just gonna be perpetual bachelors. Okay, not trying to have children, they're going their own way. And there's a lot of different variations to that particular definition. There's not one definition to that movement. My take on that is, while I understand partially their premise and what they're saying, because part of it is true. And the reason I say it is true, because if you go You go to the courts, in family courts, you dealing with child support. If you're dealing on college campuses, if you're dealing in society as a whole, it is biased against men. And the issues that men have are not being addressed. It's like that saying, men cry in the dark. Men have a whole lot of issues that people don't even consider. They have so many issues they consider. If you think about just the irony of this, in football, it's an all-male sport, and what color do they wear? What cancer are they concerned with? Breast cancer. But all them, they more than likely gonna have, a man can technically have breast cancer, but more than likely they'll have prostate cancer. You see what I'm saying? So like everywhere you go, it's about you being emasculated. It's about feminism. It's about propelling women, not talking about giving women suffrage and the right to, it's talking about putting women ahead of you. And then you're living in a time where, and there's another thing about that movement, they deal with like false allegations, right? So you just allege somebody did something and automatically you guilty until proven innocent. That's like, people ask me, is the individual, I'm not even gonna say his name, he an entertainer, he say he's alleged that he did these things. Do you think he did it? I say if you're gonna go by this system, he innocent. He said, well, what you mean he innocent? He innocent until proven guilty. There you go. The public, so right now, men, they say you did something, no proof. Hey, your career ruined. You might go to jail. And then when it come out, it's a lie. What happened? Nothing to the person. And you still got that stigma on you. You still lost your job. You still were put in a cage. Right? It's just a football player just got out. I think I talked about that not too long ago. A football player just got out of jail after spending some years of a false allegation. And that's the bad part. And another thing is that there's a whole lot of true not allegations, but true instances of sexual assault that are not being addressed, that are not being dealt with. So that shit that makes them look bad, or it makes it not look bad, but it makes it harder for them. So what I think about that movement now, I always look at the world from a biblical perspective. You ain't gonna never hear me say I don't need no woman, in the sense of let me put it like this. I think men and women should be together, but I think it should be according to biblical guidelines. But I understand totally the movement. If you look at suicide rates among men, if you look at issues of young men, the inability, they call it a failure to launch. And that's like men just not being prepared, because like I was saying earlier, if you look at our men and women in particular, our young people, women are being pushed our girls are being pushed to excel, not our men, not at all. You go to a black HBCU right now, you're gonna see 10 students, 3 of them gonna be men more than likely, and 7 of them gonna be women. That's what it is. So the women are thriving right now, and you say, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good until you're looking for somebody to marry. Right? So now you are, if you fighting over some men who would be considered elite based on how they look and how much money they make, and can't figure out why. And then we're living in a time of monogamy. So you got a man like that, he got his pickings of women, faithful to none of them. And you can't figure out what the problem is. Yeah, so I understand the movement. Oh, excuse me. One ain't got nothing to do with the other. It says, since the scriptures say 1/3 will be left, I really don't trust love in this world. That means it's rare to meet a true God-fearing person. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, it's not a lot of people that's dealing with the word, period. But one ain't got nothing to do with the other. And I probably need to deal with that in another lesson. Yeah, I think I am. And with that, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna call it a night. Peace to everybody that's listening. It's a blessing to be with you. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, that MGTOW movement is something else. Peace to you, sis, Sister Ruth. I want to hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to talk about a book that deal with that. It's a book called. It came out some years ago. It's actually pretty old. It's called The Myth of Male Power by Warren Farrell, and Farrell in this book talks about the issues that men face, and you're really oblivious to it. Even men are oblivious to it because it's so accepted. No, it's not. It's not. We talking about the MGTOW movement? No, it's not. It's not the feminist, a male version of a feminist movement, because they're not talking about. See, and again, feminism is not even about, quite frankly, today's feminism is not even about equal rights for women. Feminism today is about power, about taking power in society and relegating men to the movers of objects and tools while they run society. That's the major feminism you had today. MGTOW is not talking about that. MGTOW is just talking about, man, forget y'all. That's ultimately what MGTOW is talking about. Like, forget y'all. I'm not trying to get married to you. I'm not trying to have long relationships with you. I'm not dealing with you like that. It ain't nothing like feminism. That would be incorrect. That would be incorrect. That would be incorrect. Oh, okay. All right, brother. But yeah, myth of male power. It talks about that. A lot of the issues that men face. And with that, and maybe I'll touch upon that in another time. But yeah, that's something that people are talking about now. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we're at the Household of Faith, meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. All praise to the Most High, brother. And all praise to the Most High for any edification, and I appreciate y'all encouragement. And so, with that, brothers and sisters, we do live stream as well on israelteach.org, and I'm gonna go to bed. So with that, I haven't really been sleeping. So with that, peace to you. Keep the faith. Always keep the faith.